So of course we've all been there and experienced it. We're deciding on which new e-bike we want to invest our money in. Now, one of the biggest considerations beyond the name that's written on the down tube of the bike is really the heart and soul of any e-bike, the motor. Now, most brands work with several different motor manufacturers throughout the range of e-bikes we're finding. But across the board, probably the safest bet is definitely the Bosch we find. Certainly if you go into pretty much any bike store across Australia, they'll tell you that customers come in and that's the one thing they're looking for. They want a Bosch bike first and foremost, and then the rest of the bike, it's almost like a secondary factor. So in this video, we're going to chat a bit about what you can expect when you've got a Bosch, what sets Bosch apart from the pack, and also how they're really leading that way in that connectivity, and some of the sort of performance features that you're going to get exclusively from Bosch, and in particular the CX Performance Line motor, which is obviously probably pretty common across. It's that top end e-MTB motor, and it's pretty much countless manufacturers and models that this motor is coming.
Correct.
So yeah, let's dive in and check it out. So Scotty, you've obviously reviewed a lot of e-MTB bikes for us over the last few years, which means you've ridden pretty much every motor manufacturer on the market, and several of those have of course been the Bosch power unit. Now, can you give us a bit of a nutshell kind of wrap up of what sort of sets the Bosch apart in terms of the feel, the performance, when you're going to be riding something like this over some of the other major kind of brands out there in the e-bike motor market?
100%. So Bosch motors, we've obviously ridden in a lot of bikes, and I've ridden a lot of other motors. That's not to say that you know, other motors on the market aren't very good. You know, we've ridden the Shimano motors, the Yamaha motors, the Fazua motors, you know, a ton of different motors. And however, what sets the Bosch apart, which I really like, is they're very, very reliable. So, I mean, like, we've ridden some bikes and we've absolutely beaten the hell out of those bikes, and the Bosch motor just goes and goes and goes. I find them very quick to charge as well, which is a bonus. Depending on obviously the wattage of battery, that's obviously going to change, you know, from bike to bike, depending on how big, whether you're running an SL or, you know, 900 watt battery, depending on the bike. So that's going to obviously change, but very reliable, very economic, but super quiet and super smooth power delivery. So for someone like me who's very much a stickler for having a very quiet bike, then that's why one of the main reasons I really like the Bosch motor. It's super quiet. Absolutely
quiet. Yep. And powerful, mate. It's definitely got a lot of punch, but then we've got a bunch of different settings. We've got 4 settings as stock with these guys.
Correct.
But yes, with the all-out, the CX Performance Line motor, plenty of power and torque, right?
Yeah, super, and super powerful, super torquey, and super adjustable as well. So with their new application they've got on the phone, so depending on what setting you've got this motor set up in, you can change the torque settings to really, you know, have that motor set up for the style of riding you're doing and the type of bike you got to ride as well.
Now tell us a bit about that. So the connectivity of Bosch in terms of syncing to your phone and giving you data is pretty much second to none.
Yep.
Most motor brands have apps that come with them, of course, but these guys have really kind of lead the way in terms of the functionality, usability, and the amount of data that app's going to hold. So we'll kind of touch on that in this next piece, I think. So give us a bit of a run through about the app, the sort of key features. Obviously Pivot have collaborated with Bosch to have that kind of unique version of the app, but across all brands that have this motor, the Performance Line motor, there's an app that's kind of uses them all, right?
Yeah, so it's simple. Like, you turn your bike, or you download the app first, put in a few brief details. I'm no tech expert by any stretch, so if I can do this, trust me, anyone at home can do this. But heaps of cool features on this application. Like, I mean, just looking at it now, it shows you how much battery life you got left, how many Ks you've done, how many Ks you got left on the bike. You know, your turbo, e-MTB, sport and tour settings where you can customize.
So you can essentially go in there and change the mapping, is that
correct?
Right?
Yeah.
So if you feel, for instance, that turbo is a little too aggressive like to get started, you can make it ramp up more.
Correct.
And you can essentially set the parameters and the limits, is that
right?
Yeah,
depending on
literally the slide of a button.
Literally the slide of a button. So
not plug in or anything.
So you download the app, you obviously connect to Bluetooth, you turn the bike on, and bingo, you just press connect and away you go.
Wow. And then it's keeping all your ride data, isn't it? So you can look back and go, you know, I did this trail a month ago, how long was it, how much, you know, how much battery did I use up, and all those sort of configurations and settings, right?
Correct. And the other cool thing is if you use other applications like Strava, for example, you can link this application up with that as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so that way you know you can get all your more detailed stuff off Strava if that's what you're into, and it's you know it teams up with this application as well.
Wow. Now getting back to what you're saying in terms of about sort of durability and reliability, serviceability is another big thing that Bosch really sort of pride themselves on and kind of again sets them apart. Here in Australia they have 24-hour phone support. They've also got like 3-year warranty, they've got a huge amount, all the spares, everything is right here ready to roll, pretty much to ensure that your bike's never going to break down, and if it does, you're going to be back on the trails by the following weekend. You know, if you've got any sort of tech questions and whatnot, yeah, you can Google, but you can just pick up the phone and chat to someone and they'll be able to look at exactly what motor you've got and tell you exactly kind of some of the troubleshooting and how to get the most performance and the most fun out of your Bosch powered e-bike.
Mate, you're 100% right, and that's probably why you're seeing a lot of bike companies go to the new Bosch system for their bikes, and it's probably attributed to that excellent after-sales service.
Worldwide reputation, that's
100%.
it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. That's a bit of a snapshot about the Bosch e-MTB powered bikes and sort of some of the things that kind of are unique to those guys. If you get the opportunity to test ride a Bosch powered bike, we definitely encourage you to have a look. It's definitely one of the most sort of popular motors amongst our testing
100%.
crew here. We always get pretty excited when we get to have a Bosch bike to experience.
100%.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out our video.